The decisions they make influence sports in Arizona now and in the future. Every move they make is news. Doug and Wolf present Newsmakers Week 2014. Presented by National Bank of Arizona. Arizona Sports. Now on 98.7 FM.
Tweet us now. Hashtag Newsmakers Week. Any questions you have for head coach Jeff Hornacek of the Phoenix Suns as he sits in here on Newsmakers Week presented by National Bank of Arizona with Doug and Wolf. And now we're going to go a little more hardcore into the Phoenix Suns themselves. And we get it. New Orleans is hosting the All-Star game. Marketing says you name someone from New Orleans as the replacement for Kobe Bryant. But from just a basketball standpoint, who's had a better year in the Western Conference than Goran Dragic, who is not going to the All-Star game? Is there anybody you can name?
You know, there's a lot of deserving guys, but the way Goran's played these last probably 3 or 4 weeks, especially since Eric's been out, you know, he's probably been the best guy. You know, nothing against Anthony Davis. I mean, the guy's got great stats too. You know, what's he averaging? 21, 10, and leads the league in blocks.
Yeah, it's not an embarrassing.
So you can't argue with him. You know, there's other guys out there in the David Lees and Michael Conleys, but Goran certainly deserves to be right up there and you know, not hopefully, I don't want anybody to get hurt, but hopefully he gets in there somehow.
What kind of leader is Goran Dragic?
You know, it's probably a lot where it's lead by example. Goran doesn't talk a whole lot. He's kind of like Eric. You know, we got two guards who don't talk. You know, we're trying to get more out of him, but I think recently Goran's been a little more animated in his, you know, when he's talking out there and saying things to guys. And
is that important, Horny? I mean, is it important for especially your point?
Well, absolutely. You know, it's hard for us coaches if we call out a play. You know, we need them to make sure that every guy out there knows it. And a lot of times, if you just put your hand up, you know, the guy might not be looking. You know, you got to be surveying everything. You need to know everything that's going on out there to make sure that all our guys know what's happening. And you know, Goran's learning to do that a little bit better. But you know, he's so good at scoring and penetrating. You know, we run him in pick and rolls, and somehow, some way, he gets around him. And you know, he's just doing a fantastic job for us in that respect.
He's got so much confidence as a player, it seems. Is it a lack of confidence as a leader? Is it just not his personality? Why do you think he's hesitant?
Well, some of it is personality. I think he is still a leader. He's just not going to be the vocal leader like a Chris Paul or somebody like that is. You know, I think both him and Eric, in the locker room, they say things. You know, at practice, they'll chime up and say things. So, you know, it's not like they're not leaders. It's just that they're not the real vocal guys. And maybe it's the language. You know, obviously he speaks great English, but you know, Eric, I think, is just a quiet guy. But you know, that's you know, we'll take what they're giving us.
Who are the guys in the locker room that keep the other guys accountable? Because that's what leadership really is to be, Horty. Guys that will be able to look at other teammates, other players in the locker room and say, hey, look, we're giving it up out here. I'm giving it up out here. Why aren't you?
Well, I think all of our guys kind of put in their 2 cents. You know, but if I had to pick a couple guys, I probably would say P.J. Tucker and Channing Frye, kind of more older guys. There are times we come in the locker room at halftime and we didn't have a good first half, and we're, as coaches, we're going, man, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say that, and you know, we got to get on them about this. And then we start to walk out of our coach's room, and we hear PJ or Channing, and PJ's a little more animated when he gets on guys, but Channing's in there talking. We're like, let's not go in there yet. Let's just let them handle it. Let's let them talk about it, and then we'll go in there.
That's the best kind, isn't it? You know that as a player. Yeah.
You know, players, they listen to coaches, but, you know, the more you're on them, the more they could tune you out, but they'll listen to their teammates.
Tell us more along those lines directly about P.J. Tucker, because I of course you're going to coach better players in your time, but better people or people within the game. I don't think the P.J. Tuckers of the world get enough spoken about them. How many P.J. Tuckers are there in the NBA? Are they a dime a dozen? Are they all over and they don't get enough credit? Because that is the exact type of guy every fan should embrace.
Well, I would say there's probably several of those guys. The difference is PJ plays. They have a lot of guys that are on the end of benches, that are great guys like that. However, PJ's leadership, his toughness, the way he comes to practices, the way he approaches games every single night, there's probably not many guys like that. He comes out there and, he's tough. He wants to take any challenge. And that's another one. Guys see that.
Mm-hmm.
When they see a guy like that, like PJ, what Goran does, all of a sudden these guys raise their game and they say, you know what, I can't slack off. I think between PJ and Goran, I don't know if they've ever taken a play off. That's great leadership in that sense. So, it's hard because you say, there might be better guys out there. There might not be better guys for us. The way he provides that leadership.
You've got 32 games left, and you've already won 30 games. Jeff, I don't know if you realize this, but coming into this season, there were a lot of NBA analysts who said, you guys might not win 30 games this season. You've already done that. What say you about your success, Jeff?
Well, I think it's like anything else. It's what we told the guys. When we traded Gortat, I think they came out and Vegas line was 17.5 or 19.5 or something like that. And the next day of practice, we told the guys, said, hey, you're going to hear a lot of people talking about us tanking. We're not going to win very many games. I said, I played. 4 of our 5 assistant coaches all played in the NBA. The one assistant that didn't coached on a championship team. You guys are players. We're not looking at tanking or losing. Yep. We're trying to win every game. And if you just come out there, play hard, play together, you guys will win a lot of games. So now, did we think we'd be 30-20? We'd probably be lying if we said, we'll be 30-20 at the 50-game mark. But it just shows what hard work, playing together, and these guys care for each other. And that's, they get upset. I've talked about it over and over. We had a couple games early in the season that we lost. But they were great confidence builders. The loss in San Antonio, the loss at Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City, yep.
They were both games that we didn't win, but those guys felt, hey, we can go onto their courts and give them a game and lose right at the end. Hey, we can win some games.
As a head coach, your relationship with the general manager, because there are tons of rumors right now. I mean, every day there's a new Suns rumor that they're going after this guy or this guy. You have to feel like kind of galvanized with the guys that you have right now and what you're doing, and all of a sudden your GM might walk in and say, you've lost this guy. How does that dynamic work? How close are you guys, and how much are you involved in that? Do you try to stay out of it?
Well, as coaches, we're doing our thing with the coaching part of it. Ryan, will talk to me a little bit, but I have great trust in Ryan. When he hired me and when I was talking with him, we seem to think on the same page. When we were talking about certain players, I can't even remember a time where I said, oh, I really like that guy, and Ryan goes, I don't know. I don't really like him that much, or vice versa. Every player we seem to talk about, we're on the same page with. So, he's a great guy to be around. He always said, if I see something out there, maybe that I can help you in coaching, I'll put it out there. If you see something that we need and you need to come to me and ask me and put your opinion in there, I want it. So I think we work well together, and ultimately Ryan's going to make his decisions on who he wants on the team, and I'm all for it. As coaches, we coach whoever we have.
Jeff, one thing you're going to have to do to get better in the second half of the season, what is it?
Well, I think it's the focus on when we play a team that maybe we're supposed to beat. That's probably the toughest thing. Teams, when you're not supposed to win games, you go into every game going, I want to prove that we can beat these guys.
Such as Tuesday night.
Yeah, so you're fired up. You take your mentality to that different level. Mm-hmm. It's tough for 82 games to do that.
Yeah.
But I think we're a team that's young enough now. We're learning that. We don't always do it. Sometimes we come into a game, and if it's a team that's equal to us or a little below us in the standings, I think we can just show up and win. and that doesn't happen in this league. And
that's something you understand, isn't it? I mean, it's such a natural thing to do when you're a young gun.
Yeah, and they're playing 82 games, and we try to, as coaches, we try to prepare for that, try to get them, fired up in those certain games. But it's just, like you said, it's a natural feeling that, maybe we're going to beat this team, and all of a sudden you lose 5-6 games a year that you shouldn't. But that's one thing we need to focus a little more on.
Thanks a lot to Chris, who used the hashtag Newsmakers, and it was his question that we asked about the trade deadline and some roster moves. If you have any questions for any of our guests, just use the hashtag Newsmakers as part of Newsmakers Week, presented by National Bank of Arizona. So the last question, Jeff, for you as head coach of the Suns is the softball question that we ask everybody, but you were the one nice enough to come in, so we want to give you access to talk directly to the fans. What do you want the fans to know about the 2014 Phoenix Suns?
Well, I think these guys love to play. They're the blue-collar workers. I think they're a group of guys that, the fans can really relate to. We may not have that superstar guy, that everybody around the world talks about. But, it just shows what a collective group can do. They can win games, and they love playing for the crowds. We go out on the road, and it's a bigger crowd, and I hear our guys talk about, there's bigger crowds out here. I'm fired. I'm ready to play. So, the crowd we had the other night against Golden State was great. It was almost full.
The city's starting to buy in.
And, that's what we hope. We hope that the fans come out there. They enjoy watching what these guys are doing. I think it's a fun and exciting team to watch, and they appreciate it, and we appreciate it.
Except they're not chucking basketballs at fans' heads. That was one of the.
Who did that?
Jeff, thank you, buddy.
Well done.
Thank you
for coming
so
in.
much.
All right, guys, thanks.
Head coach of the Phoenix Suns coming in here to talk directly to you here on Newsmakers Week. Coming up next, we keep it rolling. Time for the Arizona Diamondbacks and the general manager, Kevin Towers, to join us on Arizona Sports Now on 98.7 FM.
The decisions they make influence sports in Arizona now and in the future. Every move they make is news. Doug and Wolf present Newsmakers Week 2014, presented by National Bank of Arizona. Arizona Sports, now on 98.7 FM.